Okay, so this topic absolutely grinds my gears. When it comes to any form of abuse, we always see people taking sides. We see, this movement towards protecting women over men. And I understand that the facts and the data show that majority of abuse is towards women. But that does not negate the fact that a man or men do get abused, whether it's domestic violence, sexual abuse, any of the sort. So people are like, yeah, but we should have, it should be about the women, and it should. And I'm a woman. I've been sexually abused. I get what they're trying to say, but the problem is there is no gender to abuse. If the male who was abused is now looked at and has no support network, and we're not trying to fight for him, then we're not trying to fight for her either. The problem is everyone's like, oh, yeah, but it happens to women, and when a man speaks out, maybe he's lying, but maybe the woman's lying too, because there are cases of that too. Again, when we look at these problems but via gender, we are now not looking at the problem. We are not looking at how we can create a solution. We're trying to trump a gender over another rather than just saying abuse. A blanket topic of abuse. Whether you're male or female, you're going to need help. You're going to need guidance. You're going to need counseling, support. You're going to need whatever it is, right? So why do we keep doing that? Now, there's the movement of women's rights, and and women trying to be, it grinds my gears because I see it all the time, and I'm in a space where we work with abuse and we look at the comments, just simple as the comments online. Recently, there was the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp case. Now, again, pointless to have, their life aired online. There are way more important cases. But what it did show the behavior of people out there. People that were all for, a man having his rights, and we don't know the story, we don't know the truth, whatever it is. But from the facts that we have, he was, found not guilty, etc., right? So what we look at there is that people were going, oh, but women are never supported. Women are, are found as liars. The government and the legal system don't support women, and they were bad mouthing the male. Now, those are very factual pieces because a lot of women have had the court systems and the law fail them, and that is absolutely. I've been in that boat. I understand that, but now we're looking at that as to take away from someone else's trauma. And they're like, he doesn't need help, he's a man, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, hey, hold on. What? Okay, let's just look at the facts. If this man was abused, and people were saying, like, if he was abused, so what? He's a man. I'm like, no, it's the same thing. You're a human. Whether you have a penis or a vagina, you're a freaking human, right? So at the end of the day, the abuse affects the human in the same way. And it's very unspoken of when it comes to males, and because of what society's view of masculinity and a male is, that he's the one that's in control and he's the one that has the power, and that's why he abuses the woman, and that's why men are the majority of abusers, but there are many female abusers, which is actually quite scary. And the problem is we see this segregation, and people are talking about like, oh, we shouldn't be focusing on men's rights here, we should be focusing on women's rights. Why can't we focus on both? Why are we trying to segregate the two? Why are we trying to say that one abuse is worse than the other? No, yes, I understand that one abuse has a higher rate than the other, but it does not negate the fact that the abuse is the same trauma. Think about that again. People are like, yeah, but there's more women being abused than men, but they're still abused. So you're telling me the man who gets abused should not get the help or the guidance or the support or the fundraising and the charity work and the awareness work that the woman gets? No, absolutely, they fucking should. And this is the sad reality, is that people are now trying to be so politically correct and trying to have a movement where they have to identify that, it's based off a gender, it's based off a specific topic. No, why don't we just bring it together? Why don't we just try and help anyone in need? If you have been in a situation of abuse, it absolutely destroys you. Whether you're a male or a female, it doesn't matter. And what I hear from a lot of males that reach out to me when it comes to any form of abuse, they feel that society doesn't want to accept them. Now, women feel the exact same way. Women feel like that no one's going to believe them, that it's their fault, they provoked it, etc. And now men get looked at as if, and they believe that, oh, well, the world thinks I'm it must have been my fault. How can you be so weak as a man to be abused? This is the problem, is that there's such a perception on what abuse is. So victims, regardless, feel unsupported. They feel like they're always going to lose the battle. They feel like they can't speak out. They feel like there is no support. And then you've got people out of nowhere talking shit and saying, oh, but you should be looking at the women's rights only. Forget about that. There's more women being... I'm like, so what if there's more? But even if there's one, that's too many. So when it comes to your opinion and your view, and be very careful with what you say and how you say it, but understand that abuse should have a blanket cover on gender. There should be no male, no female. On the predators, yeah, we can absolutely identify, there are more male predators than female predators. But whoever's being the victim, it doesn't matter. It's exactly the fucking same thing. So why do we have to segregate it by gender? I understand it. People are like, okay, so how do we solve a problem if more men are doing this to women? Okay, but how do we solve the problem that the abuses exist? How do we teach the masses? Because the masses are not doing it. Okay, there is a minority group that come out and create all this abuse, and it's quite a large group, but still it's a minority of the mass populations. So what if we look at, rather than the who is doing the abuse, but we look at the people that actually have the power to change the behavior of culture and the behavior of people, and the way that the society brings up children, men and women, and we look at the masses and give them the power to have the knowledge to help inspire a better generation, a better, it starts from the child. The child learns to be that pedophile or to be that domestic violence abuser. They're the one that eventually does it. They were once a child. So if we get society to teach from the youngest age good behavior and teach how, expression and understanding, what is good and what is wrong and what is, and the things that are all taboo and hidden, we teach them from a young age, and we actually push that through into society. We have a chance of eliminating whether it's male or female, and because we're just working out as a whole rather than just trying to segregate it as one group. It is a topic that needs to be opened, it needs to be discussed, and I hate that there's always comments where someone is trying to stand up for example, a man, and a woman's like, yeah, but what about the women? It's like, we're not negating that, but what about that man right now? Whoever it is, whoever they brought up, what about that man right now? Because that's like to say you only think because there are more women that get into that problem, they should be looked after and we don't have to think about that man. No, who cares whether you are male or female? It is, if you were abused, you need to be looked after.